Plane aviation. Starting with the Boeing 707. This was the first Boeing commercial plane. Many people think it's the Boeing 747, but it was the 707. The first Boeing 707 was made on December 20, 1957. An airline called Pan Am was the first airline to operate the Boeing 707, but sadly was discontinued because of old aircraft parts. Next plane, Boeing 717. On October 12, 1999, it was the release of the first Boeing 717. AirTran Airways was the first airline to operate the Boeing 717. The top speed of the Boeing 717 is 811 km per hour. Its wingspan is 28 m. There are 117 seats in the Boeing 717. The length of this plane is 38 m, and the engine of this plane is a Rolls-Royce BR700. The reason why this aircraft was inefficient was the same reason as why the Boeing 707 was inefficient. It used old aircraft parts. Next plane, Boeing 727. On November 27, 1962, the first Boeing 727 was created. The first airline to operate the Boeing 727 was Eastern Airlines. The Boeing 727 carries 189 passengers. The wingspan is 33 m. The engine of this plane is a Pratt & Whitney JD8D. It was discontinued because of old aircraft parts or materials. The last passenger flight of a Boeing 727 was on January 2019. Next plane, Boeing 737. The first flight of a Boeing 737 was on April 9, 1967. The first airline to operate the Boeing 737 was Lufthansa. The maximum speed of a Boeing 737 is Mach 78. The Boeing 737 holds over 100 passengers, and it's the least efficient passenger Boeing plane. I'm gonna give you a guess to this plane. 3, 2, 1. If you said Boeing 747, you are correct. This plane is also referred as the Queen of the Skies. The first Boeing 747 was released in February 1969. Pan Am was the first airline to operate the Boeing 747. The speed of a Boeing 747 is Mach 0.85. On January 2023, the Boeing 747 was gone. This was because of old aircraft parts materials. This is unfortunate for people who miss this plane. But don't panic. Most of the Boeing 747 seconds are cargo ones, and the Air Force One 747 still exists, but the commercial Boeing 747 seconds are gone. Next plane, Boeing 757. This is another discontinued plane because of old parts or materials and outdated tech. Next plane, Boeing 767. The first Boeing 767 was made on July 14, 1978. The prototype first flew on September 26, 1981, and was certified on July 30, 1982. The airliner Boeing 767 planes can carry between 181 and 375 passengers. This plane was discontinued because of old aircraft parts or material. Most Boeing 767 planes remaining are cargo ones. Next plane, Boeing 777, on April 9, 1994, was when the first Boeing 777 was made. United Airlines was the first airline to operate Boeing 777 planes. A Boeing 777 can carry between 314 and 396 passengers. Next plane, Boeing 787. The first flight of a Boeing 787 was on December 15, 2009. Nippon Airways was the first airline to operate a Boeing 787. This is the most efficient Boeing airliner. A Boeing 787 now this is the end of the Boeing commercial aircraft of over 200 and now we are going to the Airbus commercial category. This disclaimer states that the pictures show what the aircraft itself looks like, because it could be more informative. Next plane, Airbus A220. On July 13, 2008, the first Airbus A220 was created. In 2016, Swiss International Airlines was the first airline to operate the Airbus A220. The Airbus A220 can carry more than 100 passengers. Next plane, Airbus A320. The first Airbus A320 was made in February 1981. The Airbus A320 can carry 140 to 170 passengers. The first airline to operate the Airbus A320 is Air France. Next plane, Airbus A330. The first Airbus A330 was manufactured on 14 October 1992. Air Inter was the first airline to operate the Airbus A330. An Airbus A330 can carry between 250 and 440 passengers. Next plane, Airbus A350. The first Airbus A350 was launched on October 6, 2005. Qatar Airways was the first airline to operate Airbus A350. The Airbus A350 can carry over 300 passengers. Next aircraft, Airbus A380. The top speed of the Airbus A380 is 1,185 km/h. The first flight of the Airbus A380 was in 27 April 2005. The Airbus A380 holds over 500 passengers. The Airbus A380 has 4 engines. The Airbus A380 is very inefficient, so it will be discontinued in 2031. Singapore Airlines was the first airline to operate the Airbus A380.